If you're considering the KitchenAid K400 Blender, expecting a powerhouse to crush kale, nuts, and ice like a pro, stick around because I'm about to reveal exactly why this blender might not be the miracle worker you think it is. But here's what surprised me. Despite its sleek design and powerful marketing, this blender has some quirks that could seriously affect your kitchen game. You'd think for nearly $260, it would blend everything effortlessly, right? Well, not so fast. There's more behind the KitchenAid K400 than meets the eye. Let's break down the real story here, and by the end, you'll know whether to hit that buy button or keep scrolling. Ready for an honest deep dive into the pros and cons? Let's get blending. First things first, if you're someone who loves smoothies, sauces, or fresh marinades, and you want a blender that handles tough ingredients like kale and almonds without breaking a sweat, the K400 promises a lot. With its IntelliSpeed motor control, it automatically senses ingredients and adjusts speed to give you a smooth result. Plus, the unique three-part blending system, the ribbed jar design, asymmetric blade, and smart motor, sounds like a triple threat against chunky blends. Sounds good on paper, right? But let me ask you, how many times have you been burned by a blender that claims to tackle ice and nuts but leaves chunks you have to pick out? Exactly. The K400 struggles here too. Let's talk vortex for a second. The ribbed jar is designed to pull everything down toward the blade, while the asymmetric blade cuts at 4 angles, supposedly creating the perfect blend. In my tests, it did a decent job with soft fruits and liquefying liquids. But when it comes to tougher fibrous veggies like kale or grinding nuts for almond butter, the performance dips noticeably. Rather than pulverizing everything into a smooth texture, you get inconsistent chunks here and there. It's like the blender is saying, "I'll try, but no promises." If you want that perfect silky smoothie or creamy nut butter, prepare to blend multiple cycles and scrape the sides more than once. Now you might be thinking, well, the motor is powerful, right? Yes, the K400 uses that IntelliSpeed motor control to maintain optimal speed, and the soft start feature means no splatter when you hit power. That's a win for kitchens and cleanups. But here's a twist. At higher speeds, the blender can get noisy enough to ruin your Zen morning routine. For some, that kind of noise is no big deal, but if you're blending early or late, neighbors might not thank you. And speaking of cleanups, KitchenAid nails it with the self-clean cycle. Just add water and soap and run it, and it's mostly cleaned. But if you've ground sticky ingredients, expect some manual scrubbing. At this point, you might be wondering if the K400 is just a fancy countertop ornament. But wait, this blender has its charms. The variable speed dial lets you craft blends from chunky to smooth, and it comes with 3 presets for ice crush, icy drinks, and smoothies. These presets take the guesswork out for newbies or anyone in a hurry. Also, unlike some blenders that feel like heavy tanks, the K400's jar has a comfortable handle and a good pour spout, which means no awkward pours or spills. So in terms of design and user-friendly features, KitchenAid scores some points. Who exactly is the K400 for then? If you're a health-conscious individual focused on making green smoothies, but you only blend soft leafy greens or fruits, this may work well for you. It's great for everyday blending tasks like preparing salad dressings, soups, and smoothies that don't require the muscle to pulverize raw nuts and ice frequently. But for the hardcore blender fan who loves almond butter, frozen desserts, or super smooth juice blends, this model might leave you wanting more power or better blade design. And that $260 price tag, it puts the K400 right in the premium category, so expectations should be high. Let me drop a little kitchen humor here. Why did the blender break up with the kale? Because it couldn't handle the relationship. Okay, I promise the performance isn't as tragic as that joke, but you get the drift. The K400 tries hard but sometimes falls short with tough ingredients. Rehook time. Are you curious how this blender compares to other high-end models and whether it justifies its cost? Stick around because I'm about to reveal performance benchmarks and whether the K400 is truly worth it. Also, there's a little-known tweak to improve blending that most users miss. You won't want to miss this. Digging deeper, let's examine durability and build quality. KitchenAid is known for sturdy appliances, and the K400 doesn't disappoint here. The motor housing is solid, the controls feel responsive, and the jar is BPA-free and dishwasher-safe. The asymmetric blade is sharp and designed to last. However, some users report the blender struggles after months of heavy use, with the motor slowing or blades dulling. Also, the jar's ribbed design, while great for creating vortexes, makes cleaning tricky as bits can lodge in the crevices. If you're someone who hates cleaning, this might not be your ideal kitchen companion. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, price versus value. For $259.87, you expect a whole lot. The blender has a respectable 4.5-star rating on Amazon, which indicates general customer satisfaction. Yet in the mixed reviews, you can see a pattern where users love the design and ease of use, but express frustrations over inconsistent blending results with hard ingredients. One of the biggest pain points is that unlike some more powerful competitors, the K400 doesn't pulverize ice or nuts to a powder, but leaves tiny chunks that might spoil the texture of your smoothie or sauce. So if you're all about texture perfection, you might want to think twice here. Have I mentioned the sound level yet? Because the K400 is noisier compared to some other blenders in its class. Those early morning smoothie blends might wake the whole family. But hey, if you like your neighbors knowing you're healthy, maybe this is a bonus. Joke aside, noise can be a deal breaker for those in shared apartments or with young kids. Another little pro tip: if you want to improve blending performance, try adding liquids first when filling the jar to encourage that vortex flow. This speeds up the process and reduces the chance of chunks. But surprisingly, even with liquids, the K400 sometimes struggles with really fibrous leafy greens. That means multiple blending rounds or manual intervention to push ingredients down. It's not a deal breaker, but it's a little inconvenient. You know how sometimes you buy a gadget and the instructions are a mystery? Not here. KitchenAid includes a clear user manual with recipe ideas and cleaning tips that help you get the most out of your blender. And the soft start feature is a thoughtful addition to minimize messes. For anyone who hates the hit of cold smoothie splatters during startup, this is a subtle but appreciated touch. Okay, time for joke number 2. Why don't blenders ever get into politics? Because they're afraid of stirring things up. But honestly, the K400 does stir things up in your kitchen, but maybe not as aggressively as some of its competition. Now let's get to the bottom line. The KitchenAid K400 Blender is a stylish, mid to high-end blender that excels at everyday tasks like smoothies, icy drinks, and light chopping. It's user-friendly, has smart speed control, and generally wears the KitchenAid badge well. However, if you live for nut butters, frozen desserts, or demanding blending tasks involving dense ingredients, you might face limitations here. Its performance can be inconsistent, and the price is on the higher side for what you get. That said, for casual users who prioritize design, ease of cleaning, and decent blending power, the K400 is a solid choice. So who wins this blend-off? If you want a machine largely meant for casual, health-conscious smoothie lovers or people who want a reliable machine for sauces and dressings, the K400 fits that niche nicely. But for the serious blender enthusiast or home chef who needs raw power, you may want to explore other options like the Vitamix or BlendTech series that are built specifically for heavy-duty blending, albeit at an even higher price. Before we wrap up, here's a quick question to ponder. Would you rather have a blender that looks good on your countertop but sometimes struggles, or one that might look less sleek but blends everything like a champ? The K400 leans toward the former. All right, time for a quick final joke to keep spirits high. What did the smoothie say to the blender? You spin me right round, baby, right round. Hopefully, your blends will feel just as smooth with or without the K400. In conclusion, the KitchenAid K400 blender delivers a lot in the way of style, moderate power, and smart features, but falls short when pushed beyond typical blending tasks. It's a blender designed for casual use, not heavy-duty pulverizing. For its price, it offers good value for average users but might frustrate blending enthusiasts. If you appreciate ease of use, smart motor tech, and decent performance on softer ingredients, this blender won't disappoint. Otherwise, you might want to hold out for something more powerful. For those still interested in making the KitchenAid K400 a part of your kitchen, I've dropped the best price and link to check it out on Amazon down in the description. Grab it there to ensure authenticity and warranty coverage. Thanks for sticking with me through this honest review. I hope it helps you make the blend decision that's right for you. Remember, a blender is a personal kitchen investment. Choose one that fits your lifestyle and culinary dreams. Happy blending!